Welcome to This Explainer. Right now, we are at a massive turning point in how artificial intelligence is fundamentally rewiring our interaction with information. And the really big, central question we have to ask ourselves is this. Is this technology actually helping us build better minds, or is it just helping us complete tasks faster? Let's dive in and explore this crucial shift towards something called cognitive sovereignty.
So think about this for a second. For decades, we've pretty much operated on a basic assumption, right? If a student can produce the correct answer, it means they've actually learned the concept. But generative AI completely shatters that assumption. I mean, what happens when a student can instantly spit out a flawless essay or a perfect mathematical proof without ever once wrestling with the underlying logic? As we're about to see, getting a better answer and actually becoming a better learner are no longer the same thing at all.
To put this into perspective, let's look at some staggering numbers from a massive study out of China tracking over 26,000 students. This perfectly illustrates the immediate crisis we're facing. For students using generative AI, their homework scores shot up by 18%. Plus, the time they spent doing that homework dropped from 64 minutes down to just 45. If you just stop right there, AI looks like an absolute miracle. But wait for it. Within 6 months, their performance in closed-book, unassisted exams plummeted by 20% compared to the kids who didn't use AI. They got the work done way faster, sure, but their independent capability essentially collapsed.
Now here's the really crucial takeaway from that data. The learning penalty wasn't just evenly distributed across the board. Students who used AI but still spent roughly the same amount of time genuinely engaging with the material didn't suffer that massive 20% drop. The penalty hit the hardest almost entirely on the students who used the AI as a shortcut to just bypass the work completely. So this tells us something super important. AI itself isn't inherently bad for learning. It is entirely about what we are optimizing it to do.
Which brings us to Section 1, the pivot. What exactly are we optimizing for? Is it task speed or is it actual learning?
You know, right now, most AI tools are designed purely as productivity assistants. Their whole goal is to reduce friction and solve your problems as fast as humanly possible. But there is a massive, stark contrast between the frictionless production of an answer and the necessary, kind of messy, productive friction required to actually build a human mind. When an AI instantly hands over the solution to a math problem, boom, the task is done. But learning happens in that difficult, frustrating space between the question and the answer. It happens when you try an approach, totally fail, get confused, and have to dig deep to retrieve information from your memory. Cognitive scientists literally call this productive friction. And AI, by default, accidentally bulldozes right over that exact cognitive effort.
Because here's the thing, simply adding AI into the mix doesn't hurt learning. The danger rears its head specifically when cognitive outsourcing enters the equation. It's not student plus AI equals poorer learning. No, it's student plus AI plus cognitive outsourcing equals poorer learning. When a learner outsources the synthesis, the logic, and the actual struggle to the machine, they are totally denying their brain the workout it needs to build a new skill. It's like having someone else lift weights for you and expecting to get stronger.
And look, this absolutely isn't just a school problem. It is actively threatening the workplace right now by automating not just the task, but the human thinking required to understand it. Just think about it. A junior developer who repeatedly accepts AI-generated code might ship software a lot faster today, but they are undeniably becoming a weaker engineer for tomorrow. An analyst who just casually reads AI summaries is gradually going to lose their ability to interrogate raw data independently. Civilization absolutely advances by automating tasks, but the massive danger comes when we start automating the critical thinking itself.
So how do we fix it? That's Section 2, the solution. We need to move from an answer engine to a learning engine.
If we want to preserve that productive friction, we have to completely rebuild how educational AI responds to us. An answer engine takes your prompt and optimizes for the best, most direct solution. A learning engine, it does the exact opposite. It looks at the learner's current state, identifies where they are struggling, and provides a perfectly tuned challenge. Instead of just barking out, "You're wrong, the answer is 42," a learning engine says, "Hey, your first step looks pretty reasonable. What happens if you apply that same operation to the other side?" It forces you to construct the logic yourself.
Basically, a true educational AI has to practice restraint. It needs to know when to give a hint, when to ask a guiding question, and when to deliberately just let the student struggle. Honestly, this might be the absolute most powerful capability of future educational tech: silence. Think of a great human teacher. They don't just blurt out the answer the second a student raises their hand. They read the room. They know if a student is genuinely hitting a wall or if they're just fishing for an easy shortcut. Intelligent tutoring systems need to build in this exact same level of restraint.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the sequence a true learning engine should follow to build up independent competence goes exactly like this. First, diagnose. Before jumping in to save the day, the AI has to figure out what the student actually already knows. Second, ask. Prompt the student to explain their reasoning out loud. Third, provide hints, not solutions. This introduces a desirable difficulty that nudges the learner just barely outside their comfort zone. And fourth, require retrieval. Make the student pull that information directly from their own memory, because that is exactly what cements long-term retention.
For a real-world example, take a platform like AlphaKids. They use a system of coordinated AI agents and teacher-governed rules to provide this exact type of scaffolded learning. They split the AI into highly specific roles based on Bloom's mastery learning. You have Principal Archie, who maps out the competency gaps. You have Teacher Ava, delivering structured lessons while managing cognitive load. And if a student gets stuck, Tutor Kai swoops in with targeted hints and remediation based on their specific errors. But here is the most important part. The whole shebang operates under the strict governance of a human teacher. It is AI acting as a scaffold, never a crutch.
Because of all this, homework is honestly becoming a pretty terrible proxy for actual learning. Our assessment systems absolutely must adapt to distinguish assisted performance from genuinely acquired competence. If a student plus an AI can write a brilliant world-class essay together, grading it literally tells us nothing about the student's independent brainpower. So we have to create deliberate, planned moments in the learning journey where the AI is completely turned off. Think closed-book assessments, oral explanations, making them apply concepts to totally unfamiliar situations. The goal isn't to play gotcha and catch students cheating, it's to confidently, accurately measure what they have truly mastered internally.
Which brings us to Section 3, Designing Cognitive Sovereignty, How We Build for the Future.
Take a moment to really let this term sink in. Cognitive sovereignty is the capability of people to think, reason, question, and act independently, even when incredibly intelligent systems are right there ready to assist them. This concept is massive. It needs to sit right alongside privacy, safety, and transparency as a non-negotiable core tenet of responsible AI. In a classroom, that means fiercely protecting a student's capacity to solve a problem without leaning on a machine. In a business, it means preserving institutional expertise, so our collective knowledge doesn't just evaporate into automated workflows. We want machines to amplify human judgment, for sure, but never to replace the actual development of that judgment.
If we're genuinely serious about education and personal growth, we have to completely stop asking, did the AI help the student finish the assignment? That is the old, outdated productivity mindset. Moving forward, every single time we introduce a new AI tool, we must measure it by one specific metric. Because of this tool, what can the learner do completely independently today that they could not do yesterday? Look, trying to keep AI out of the classroom or the office is a total losing battle. The tools are already here, but we have a fundamental choice in how we build them and how we use them. The most successful, transformative AI of the future won't be the one that just hands us the most answers. It's going to be the one that makes itself progressively less necessary by actively building up our own minds. So I'll leave you with this challenge. In your own learning and in your own day-to-day work, are you using AI to outsource your thinking, or are you demanding that it helps you think better?